Hello, this is Matt from tracyandmatt.co.uk, and here I am with the Asus Google Nexus 7, the 2013 model. And at the moment, this model here in the UK is an exclusive to the O2 network, and the 4G, well, the 4G model particularly, specifically, is currently an exclusive on O2. So let's take a look inside the box and see what we get. So obviously we have the tablet itself right on top, which I'll pop back to in just a moment. Also inside we have a little SIM tray extractor tool. Move that to one side. We have the power adapter, so a UK 3-pin, which obviously has the sliding collapsible third pin for earth, and the USB connector on one side. Capacity wise, it's a 1.35 amp charger. Also we have the getting started warranty and safety guides, and then a micro USB sync charge connector, and that's all we have in the box. No headphones, no manual as such, or anything else, so kind of sparse in terms of accessories and stuff that we get with it. So taking a look at the Nexus 7, let's slide it out of this plastic. There we go. So taking a look, putting it out, as you can see, we have, which way around are we? That way around. As you can see, a 7-inch display, and if I sort of just angle the camera there, you can probably just make out where the display itself comes to. So 7-inch display is 1200 by, well, actually 1920 by 1200 pixels. Extremely high resolution display, actually. Certainly for a 7-inch, it's one of the highest resolutions that you're going to get and find on a 7-inch tablet just at the moment. And it is a backlit, LED backlit IPS LCD display, so 1920 by 1200 pixels, full capacitive touchscreen, multi-touch, supporting all 10 fingers, and indeed it's also got the Gorilla Glass over the front as well to give you the scratch and crack damage resistance as well. Forward-facing camera is 1.2 megapixel, used for video conferencing and that kind of stuff. Taking a look around the sides, nothing along what I guess we would consider the bottom. The other side we have a USB or micro USB sync charge connector. Upon this side, which I guess we're going to call the top by the Nexus logo, we have the SIM card tray, hole there, which is the microphone, an up and down volume control, and the power button. And then right on the other end we have the 3.5mm headphone connector, so you can obviously use your own headphones. Well, none come with it, but you can use your own headphones or indeed wired headset for using it using the microphone feature and making it to be able to make Skype calls and the like. On the back we have a 5 megapixel autofocus camera, which supports 1080p video recording, 30 frames a second, geotagging and all that kind of stuff, because we do have built-in GPS and assisted GPS. Also on the back, obviously, we've got the Nexus logo, and there's evident that we've got the two speakers at either end as well. But that's pretty much all we've got in terms of really hardware to see. Notice there isn't a flash on here at all, which I'm not really kind of that surprised, but there isn't one there. And weight wise, it's not too heavy at all. So let me just start the power up sequence, which, there we go. While it's powering up, let me give you the rest of the specification rundown. So we are 200mm wide, 114mm in this plane. It's difficult to actually tell you which way round things are, but anyway, on a tablet, which obviously should be used probably landscape. So 200 by 114 and 8.7mm thick. It's really quite a thin tablet. In terms of weight as well, it's pretty light. It's only 290 grams. It feels very light in the hand. The larger something is, the lighter it feels. I guess that kind of makes sense to some degree. But feels nice and light in the hand. You would definitely have no problem in holding this, you know, in one hand for extended periods of time for sort of reading, obviously web browsing and that kind of stuff. So I think that's a nice weight really, and a nice feel to it. The back being sort of a mattish finish, not completely matte, and slightly textured, slightly rubber feel to it as well. So it's got almost like a rubberized paint. So it means it's quite nice to hold, and the rounded and curved edges there. So it just means it's kind of nice to hold. Just quickly bringing in last year's model, and I'll put them side by side that way. You can see that last year's model is slightly shorter, like that. I'll line the tops there. It's slightly shorter, and but it is a bit chunkier, quite a bit chunkier in fact, as you can see there, and weightier for sure, and slightly wider. So proportionally, it's a little bit different. Obviously, the backs are different, but it's quite a bit weightier. Doesn't have the camera, and obviously doesn't have the new stuff that's in here. In terms of rest of specification, obviously we mentioned the high-res display, which we're going to be taking a little bit of a look at in a moment, with quad-core 1.5 GHz processor, which is an S4 Pro. We also have built-in GPS and assisted GPS. We can do geotagging with the pictures that we take as well. Built-in Bluetooth, which is 4.0, and we also have Wi-Fi supporting 802.11b, G and N standards. This is the LTE 4G version. There is a Wi-Fi only version available as well. At the moment, as I say, this here in the UK, in terms of on contract, the 4G version is currently exclusive to O2, and obviously this is supplied to us by the guys over at O2 here in the UK. But I think soon it's going to be available on all networks as well, or on other networks for sure, the 4G version as well. So let's take a look at what we've got on here. So I'm going to set up for English United Kingdom. Try and do this in one hand if I can. I'm going to skip the insertion of the SIM card, obviously. You'll notice the screen is extremely glossy. I think that's kind of one of the things that you notice when you have larger devices particularly. It's just how glossy and glary they can be. So that might be a factor to consider in using this tablet outdoors. But anyway, let's go and connect to a Wi-Fi network. Quickly connect up. One of the things that we do need to do is go and turn up the backlight brightness as well, once we are connected and set up. Do have a Google account, and I will go and sign into that to save time in a moment. Sign in. So let's let that go through. If it genuinely does take 5 minutes, we'll be fast forwarding the video for you a little bit as well. Also mentioning that we do support wireless charging on this model as well. Don't obviously have a wireless charger included, but we do support wireless charging. That's one of the features. We have SNS integration as well. In terms of battery capacity, we've got listed non-removable 3,950 milliamp hour battery. That's a pretty whopping battery capacity, to be honest, at nearly 4,000 amp hours. And we have a claimed usage time for multimedia use as being 9 hours. So let's quickly get through the setup. Hopefully we're nearly there. Yeah, we are. Okay, so kind of close these bits out as much as possible, and I say one of the things I really want to do is go and turn the brightness right up for the purpose of doing the video. So in terms of our startup, we've got the My Library thing at the side. We can go into do a quick Google search, which is kind of low. So that's the Google Now stuff. Coming back home, we've got the voice search feature at the side. We've got our Google content here. Google Books, Play Store, got the camera and messaging, email, got the launcher there at the side, so we can see can see all of the installed applications and indeed settings, menus and kind of stuff like that. And scroll across to widgets and go back to home screen. We've got Google Maps, YouTube and Chrome. We've got recommendations and apparently a couple of pages that are blank, ready for us to customize with widgets or shortcuts or other bits and pieces that we choose to put on the home screen there. Putting down at the top, which we've all done once before, but obviously we can change the brightness and settings. We're connected to a Wi-Fi network, which isn't actually the closest, so we'll go and change that in just a second. No service here. It's telling us obviously there's no SIM card installed. Battery capacity is at 50%. We can turn airplane mode on and off, and Bluetooth. So one of the things I quickly need to do is change this. Okay, so we changed to a different Wi-Fi network. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the website. Guess which website we're going to use. Oops, I'm really getting quite awkward reaching around the camera like this. There we go. Trying to get two hands around the camera is not so easy. So heading over to our site. It's taking a moment to think about loading, and timeout is awkward. There we go. So starting to load the page. So we're using broadband and Wi-Fi, so not indicative of any Wi-Fi speeds, network speeds on 4G or O2's network or anything like that. So page loaded. Got the full page here, and it's loading the desktop version of the site because it's detected obviously the width, so not the mobile version. So we've got the full features of what we've got going on here. In terms of reading stuff, as you can imagine, that display being such high resolution, 1920 pixels wide in this orientation, 1200 high, is awesome. I mean, if I can try and get a bit closer, and as close as the camera will let me without going out of focus, actually it's pretty close. It is extremely good for reading text. Obviously it's going to be good for reading any text and rendering video and photos and all that kind of stuff on here, just because there are just so many pixels that it can use. So that's a pretty awesome feature really, and it just means that the text is really smooth, all the images are nice and smooth. And so we can switch around to the other orientation in portrait. Again, we've got nice smooth scrolling, smooth motion, smooth text, and at 1200 wide in portrait, that's more than many devices have in landscape, so pretty good. That timeout does need to be altered if I was to be using this for any great length of time. Quickly take a look at YouTube and pop into the YouTube client, and we'll do a quick search for something on our channel. There we go. Let's quick search for something. There we go. Let's take I don't know, any of these. That one will do. So obviously in the landscape orientation, we do have full screen, or in a portrait orientation we have, go ahead and skip that in just a second. Skip that ad. So in the portrait orientation we have video at the top and the comments and suggestions underneath. Turn that down because it's irritating. There we go. So a full screen width. For video and media consumption, this device is going to be awesome, quite frankly, with that screen. It really is a very nice clear screen. It's really bright. I've turned obviously the brightness up to full here. It's a very bright display as well, and it looks really good. Definitely do need to change that timeout, so that would be something that we can do in settings, and we'll pop in settings here anyway. So let's take a look at display, and we'll change it so that it sleeps after 1 minute instead of what we've got at the moment. So let's take a look down at about the tablet. and we'll take a look at. So there we go. We've got Android 4.3 as we said, Nexus 7 kernel versions there. Storage. We'll just check what we've got here. So we do have, well, basically we've got 32 gig model. It's telling us that the total space is 26 because obviously there's a certain amount that's taken up by the OS and all the ROM stuff as well. So we've got 26.41 gig available to the user, so that's not bad really. So we come out of here. And the next things we need to do is go and pop into the Google Play Store, and we're going to go and download Quadrant and run a quick benchmark so we can see what our performance is like. So let's go and do that. Let's have a look. It's downloading some updates, which is fairly irritating at the moment. It's telling us what it's doing. Let's stop all of those. Okay, so let's stop the updates and go back and do the quick search for Quadrant again and install Quadrant. There you go, that's installing. So one of the things we will do is go to the home menu, look at the list of running apps and close off everything that we're not using before we go in and run Quadrant. Okay, so I'm going to go around this way because it's a little easier to see on the screen and run the full benchmark, which probably won't take too long to run. We've got quad-core 1.5 processor in here with 2 gig of RAM. We expect it to go through pretty quickly. In terms of performance, getting 60 frames a second there, 61, pretty quick. There we go, this is our last test before we go and see our results. And there we go, 61, 62. Would have expected perhaps a little more than that, to be honest with you. That's 6,162. Quad-core 1.5. Quad-core 1.7 in the HTC One, for example, is getting around 12,000, which is nearly double. So perhaps a slight disappointment there in terms of just the benchmark, but again, benchmark is not the be-all and end-all of the device, so just bear that in mind. And we'll take a quick look at the camera. And my favourite thing to put in front of the camera at the moment for some photos is the old HTC Canary. So we won't bother with geolocation at the moment. So we've got various camera settings here. We can do panoramic, video and stills. We'll just take a quick snap. There we go. Take a look at what that comes out like. So I say only a 5 megapixel camera, but it's not too bad really. It's a little bit grainy, it's a bit noisy in terms of the compression on there, but that's fairly common to have a slight over compression of JPEGs on Android devices, unfortunately, but there we go. In fact, on all devices. So there we go. That is a look at the 2013 Asus Google Nexus 7, which is obviously an update on last year's the 2012 model. Extremely high resolution display is an excellent feature. It's very bright, very clear, and it's a nice, lightweight, good-looking 7-inch tablet. Definitely worth consideration if you're looking at the 7-inch tablet market. If you want to ask us any questions about this, the Nexus 7, or indeed anything else that we've got in at the moment, please do follow us on Twitter at TracyandMatt, that's TracyandMatt, or on facebook.com/TracyandMatt.co.uk. And I'll be back soon with some more videos and reviews on TracyandMatt.co.uk. But for now, thanks for watching.